Tonight, the VP steps up as Biden prepares to address the nation. Kamala Harris hits the road for her first battleground state stop since announcing her candidacy, while she has now passed the all-important delegate threshold to become the presumptive Democratic nominee for president. Potential challengers are still waiting in the wings. Meanwhile, President Biden is seen for the first time since his COVID diagnosis, making his way back to the White House one day before his major address to the country. Joining us tonight to discuss it all, DNC Chair Jamie Harrison and Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson, and we'll preview the expected Harris campaign ahead with Democratic strategist Michael Trujillo. And
if it were not for that camera footage, they would have lied, and they'd have lied their way right out of this.
It's a shooting that has rocked the nation since the body camera footage was released of a deadly incident between police and an unarmed woman in Illinois. Tonight, we examine the shooting and why some law enforcement encounters with those going through mental health episodes in this country turn deadly. Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We're following those stories and much more, including the sudden resignation of the director of the Secret Service following the deadly Trump rally just 10 days ago, why she decided to step down just one day after being defiant before Congress. Plus, why most airlines have recovered from that global tech outage except for Delta, and what the company is now saying as the Department of Transportation is investigating. The protests that brought Capitol Hill to a standstill as hundreds push for a ceasefire in Gaza, and the incredible video tonight, the very close call for visitors at Yellowstone National Park, what authorities are saying led to that moment. Good evening once again. I'm Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We begin with Vice President Harris taking center stage as the new face in the race for the White House. The VP is now the presumptive Democratic nominee for president after securing enough delegates less than 48 hours after President Biden announced he would step aside. The vice president held her first campaign event in Wisconsin today, not far from where Donald Trump accepted the Republican nomination just 5 days ago, telling the crowd of thousands that as a former attorney general, she's ready to prosecute the case against Donald Trump. Tonight, many are already speculating about who she will choose to be her running mate, keenly looking at those key battleground states. And we're getting our first look at some new polling since the president dropped out. We're standing by to talk with the DNC chief, Jamie Harrison, about this whirlwind 48 hours for his party. But we begin with ABC's chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce.
With her party firmly united behind her, tonight Kamala Harris hitting the campaign trail for the first time as the presumptive Democratic nominee, heading straight for battleground Wisconsin. Greeting her, a crowd of thousands, bigger than any President Biden has had during this campaign.
Do we want to live in a country of freedom, compassion, and rule of law? Or a country of chaos, fear, and hate?
Harris reminding voters that as the former Attorney General of California, she's uniquely qualified to prosecute the case against Donald Trump.
I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
For months, Harris has been hammering Trump on abortion. The former president has bragged about appointing 3 of the justices who overturned Roe v. Wade.
We who believe in reproductive freedom will stop Donald Trump's extreme abortion bans because we trust women to make decisions about their own body and not have their government tell them what to do.
But Harris also leaning into the kitchen table issues on the minds of so many voters.
Building up the middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. Because here's the thing we all here, Wisconsin, know. When our middle class is strong, America is strong.
Trump has been off the trail since Saturday. On a call with reporters this afternoon, he went on the attack.
She's the same as Biden, but much more radical.
But he did say he's willing to debate her.
I think debating is important for a presidential race. I really do. I think that you have to you sort of have an obligation to debate. If you're the candidate of the Republican Party.
And Harris says bring it on.
In this campaign, I promise you, I will proudly put my record against his any day of the week.
The vice president exuding a lot of confidence there. Mary Bruce joins us now from Milwaukee. Mary, that new Reuters Ipsos poll is out, taken after President Biden dropped out of the race. It shows Vice President Kamala Harris leading Donald Trump by 2 points among registered voters nationally, 44% to 42%. But Mary, we know it'll likely all come down to a handful of battleground states. And you and the team have been reporting out who the top contenders are. Where does the search for running mates stand tonight?
Well, Lindsay, tonight sources tell us that the vetting process is now already underway. We are told that 4 people at least are on that list right now. They are Josh Shapiro, the popular governor of must-win Pennsylvania, Governor Roy Cooper of North Carolina, elected twice in a state that the campaign we know has been eyeing and investing in heavily, Senator Mark Kelly of the critical state of Arizona. He's the only senator on the list, a former astronaut. He's married to former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, and Andy Beshear, the popular moderate governor in the traditional red state of Kentucky. Now, Lindsay, other names could certainly be added to that list, but tonight a source telling us that as of now, Shapiro and Kelly are the leading candidates. Lindsay.
Just a short amount of time to make that selection. Mary Bruce, our thanks to you as always. Now to President Biden, set to address the nation from the Oval Office tomorrow night. The president is now back at the White House for the first time since ending his bid for a second term while recovering from COVID at his home in Delaware. Tomorrow, the president is expected to lay out how he plans to finish the job. ABC senior White House correspondent Selena Wang reports from the White House tonight.
Tonight, President Biden back at the White House in public for the first time since making the historic decision to end his re-election campaign.
Why did you drop out of the election?
As he left Delaware, where he was isolating with COVID for more than 5 days, the president telling reporters he's feeling well.
Mr. President, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? How are you feeling?
Before walking up the stairs of Air Force One, saluting. Biden's doctor saying today he's tested negative for COVID and no longer has symptoms. The president now preparing to speak to the nation from the Oval Office tomorrow night, saying he will address what lies ahead and how I will finish the job for the American people. Biden making clear he has more work to do, saying that though the Democratic ticket has changed, his mission has not.
I've got 6 months left of my presidency. I'm determined to get as much done as I possibly can, both foreign policy and domestic policy.
The president saying he's on the verge of ending the war in Gaza and bringing the hostages home, meeting with the Israeli prime minister and families of hostages tomorrow. A source telling me part of Biden finishing the job for the American people is making sure his vice president Kamala Harris succeeds him in the Oval Office.
I'm going to be working like hell, both as a sitting president, getting legislation passed, as well as in campaigning.
President Biden committed to staying on the campaign trail on Harris's behalf now. Selena Wang joins us now from the White House. Selena, what's the latest you're learning about the president's speech?
Well, Lindsay, this speech is going to be about his decision to drop out of this race and why he did that, as well as his plans for the rest of his term. A source close to the president tells me that he's been working on this speech for the past day and huddling with his speechwriting team this afternoon at the White House. I'm told that this speech is going to be emotional and coming from the president's heart. Lindsay?
All right, Selena Wang for us. Thanks so much. And make sure to tune in tomorrow night for our special report when the president speaks live to the nation at 8 p.m. Eastern right here on ABC News Live. Joining us now is DNC Chair Jamie Harrison. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. We understand the DNC will formally kick off the nomination process tomorrow to replace President Biden on the ticket. Since VP Harris has access to Joe Biden's campaign staff, his campaign money, other interested candidates would have to start from square one. In your view, has this process been fair to all interested candidates?
Listen, this is a fair process, and we are kicking it off tomorrow with the Rules Committee. And when the Rules Committee puts out its votes, we will get an opportunity then to have candidates, all candidates, start off trying to get their 300 signatures in order to get on the ballot. And then once that process is done, then we'll move to a vote. And so in the end of the day, we have to understand that the VP was a part of the Biden-Harris team. She was on the ballot in many of our states. I remember her going to South Carolina, turning in the signature verification in order to get on the ballot as in the first the first primary in the nation. And so you know, she has that apparatus, but she also has the experience.
What do you say to voters who feel that they don't have a voice in this process as it's playing out right now?
Well, voters do have a voice, and they had a voice throughout the process, throughout our primaries. And as a result of what happened in those primaries, we were able to get delegates that were elected from the states. And those delegates are representative of the people in the states that went to the polls over the course of the last few months. And now, part of our process is to make sure that the delegates that represent those states get an opportunity to vote for the next nominee of the Democratic Party.
Many argue it's only because of the first debate President Biden decided to step aside. What do you say to accusations that the DNC provided cover for Biden during the primaries when there were at least 2 Democratic candidates also running and looking to debate President Biden?
Well, listen, neither party in the history of, in recent history, have ever held primary debates when you had an incumbent from the party. It's just unprecedented. Never happened, and I don't foresee it ever happening. And so President Biden has been a good president. He's been a transformative president. He's gotten so much done. It's amazing the hand-wringing that we hear from folks when just a few months ago in the State of the Union, they were praising this president for one of the best State of the Union speeches that we've heard in recent history. This man has accomplished more than probably any other president that we have had in recent history. And so there's much to be proud of. We continue to be proud of President Biden and all that he has done and all that he's accomplished. And we are a grateful nation because of it.
I get your point that there's never been a debate with an incumbent president. I'm curious, though, based on a conversation that we had last night with Senator Bernie Sanders, he told us that a debate between the candidates is a positive idea. We know at least Marianne Williamson is running at this point. Is there any consideration at all to holding debates before the Democratic convention?
Well, we don't even have, we're in this process now. We're not sure if there will be anybody other than the vice president who will get through the threshold of 300 signatures from delegates. And so, listen, we will see what happens in this process. There's time and room in there for all of these things. But at this point, it's a lot of hypotheticals and a lot of conjecture.
Mr. Harrison, as you well know, a number of people have been Monday morning quarterbacking and giving their qualms with the party for a while. Age was long an issue with regard to Joe Biden. I'm wondering if you have any regrets, if you could look back and say this could have been done, maybe Joe should have stepped aside earlier. Is there any one thing that you perhaps keeps you up at night that you think we need to do that better next time around?
Well, the thing that I know, with age comes wisdom sometimes, particularly in the case of Joe Biden. This is the most accomplished president in my lifetime. Yet stack up his list of legislative accomplishments. Right now in this country, folks who need insulin are paying $35 a month. Right now in this country, those who were saddled 4 years ago with hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt and student loans no longer have it. Right now in this country, we're ripping out lead pipes, putting in broadband internet because Joe Biden led the effort to put the largest investment in our nation's infrastructure together. Joe Biden has been one heck of a president. I am so proud of him, and I think most Americans are proud of the work that he has done on their behalf.
And let me just circle back on that one time, because you're the leader of the Democratic Party, right? And so I'm just wondering if you have any regrets, if you could do things differently, how you might have. This process has gotten very twisty.
What would I regret? Regret standing up for the most accomplished president that we've had in this party? A regret of making sure that we stood with him because he stood with us? There's nothing to regret. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. There's only things to stand up and applaud Joe Biden for all that he's done for this nation.
DNC Chair Jamie Harrison, we thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle has resigned. It comes one day after she was grilled on Capitol Hill about the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. Cheadle called it the agency's most significant operational failure in decades, yet it took 10 days for her to resign. That news comes as we're learning from sources the Secret Service is now recommending the Trump campaign team cease holding outdoor rallies entirely. Here's ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas. He has more on that, the director's resignation.
Sources telling ABC News the Secret Service has recommended that Donald Trump's campaign stop holding outdoor rallies following the assassination attempt in Pennsylvania. It comes just 24 hours after that blistering hearing.
You're full of today.
And bipartisan calls for the resignation of Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle.
Not only should you resign, if you refuse to do so, President Biden needs to fire you.
Tonight, Cheadle stepping down, taking responsibility for the security failures that led to the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. In an email to staff, Cheadle saying, "I do not want my cause for resignation to be a distraction from the great work each and every one of you do towards our vital mission. In light of recent events, it is with a heavy heart that I've made the difficult decision to step down as your director." Cheadle had resisted calls to resign.
There he is.
Despite that stunning failure to stop Thomas Matthew Crooks, who had been spotted by law enforcement minutes before the shots rang out. Reaction swift.
Secret Service Director Cheadle clearly made the right decision. She needs to take responsibility for the terrible policy blunders and lapses that set the stage for a disaster and near catastrophe on July the 13th.
Were there any warning signs?
And new tonight, the shooter's father speaking out for the first time since the attack, telling Fox News Digital,
"Release a statement when our legal counsel advises us to do so. Until then, we have no comment. We just want to try to take care of ourselves right now. So please, give us our space."
Pierre Thomas joins us now. Pierre, President Biden released a statement. What did that say?
In a statement today, Biden thanked Cheadle for her decades of service, Linsey, but he added, and I quote, "What happened that day can never happen again."
Pierre Thomas for us. Thanks so much, Pierre. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is on Capitol Hill today. His first trip to Washington in almost 4 years. The Prime Minister will deliver an address to Congress tomorrow, looking to shore up support for Israel's war on Gaza. Many Democrats say that in protest to the carnage in Gaza, they will not attend. Hundreds of protesters calling for a ceasefire demonstrated in the Cannon House office building. Police responded and reportedly made a number of arrests. Capitol Hill security has been increased ahead of his visit, and the Speaker of the House issued a stern warning to members against making any disturbances. Vice President Harris will miss the address, but she'll have her own meeting with Netanyahu on Thursday. The White House has confirmed that President Biden will meet with Netanyahu and the families of Americans held hostage by Hamas also on Thursday. Tonight, the heartbroken family of the mother who was shot in the head by a deputy in Springfield, Illinois, is calling on the sheriff to resign. Sonya Massey had called 911 about a possible intruder. The incident was captured on body camera video, and we do want to warn you it may be difficult to watch. ABC's Alex Perez has the story.
Tonight, after seeing the horrific video of former Illinois Deputy Sean Grayson killing his daughter, Sonya Massey's father shattered and now calling for the sheriff to be held accountable.
I'm very clear and I'm very eloquent. He needs to resign.
Grayson now charged with murdering the mother of two after she called 911 to report a prowler. Massey's cousin was the first family member on the scene after the shooting.
I was confused. I didn't know. I went there from answers because I thought that someone came into the home to kill her.
Massey's son Malachi heartbroken and in disbelief.
She was just a ball of energy. She could talk to anybody.
Family attorney Ben Crump questioning Grayson's employment history, 6 different police jobs in the last 4 years, including 3 different departments in 2021 alone.
We need to find out what the sheriff's department knew when they hired him.
A lot of eyes on this officer. Alex Perez joins us now. Alex, sometimes cases like these can drag on for years, but sounds like that's not the case here.
Yeah, Linsey, this case moving exceptionally fast. Grayson was fired and charged just 10 days after the incident. He has pleaded not guilty and remains in custody. Linsey?
Alex Perez for us. Thanks so much, Alex. Let's bring in Sonya Pruitt, founder of police reform advocacy group Black Police Experience and retired captain of the Montgomery County, Maryland Police Department. Sonya, thank you so much for coming on the show. First, just like to get your reaction to the body cam video of Sonya Massey being shot and killed in her own home.
Thank you for having me. And first, my condolences to the Massey family and their loved ones. This was a really tragic incident that really could have been avoided. There was clearly a mental health element. We have a young woman calling for the police, ostensibly to check for a prowler, perhaps. And then the deputies come, and then she becomes someone who's under suspicion. I'm going to jump right to it. This woman asked for help. The deputies came. They have a conversation with her. There is something going on with the conversation where you might surmise that maybe there is a mental health element. And so now I know that, and I'm going to treat this person, this human being, with that in mind. But instead, when Miss Massey goes to her kitchen, she takes a pot off the stove, a pot of supposedly boiling water, the deputy becomes defensive. And then she becomes someone who is under suspicion. I have an issue with officers who put themselves in harm's way. In this case, the deputy asks or orders Miss Massey to put the pot down. She seems confused. She's trying to, like, what am I supposed to do? And the next thing you know, he has shot her. But if you are concerned about a boiling pot of water and you're an officer and you're in the space that he was in, why not retreat? The analogy for me is when officers want to hang on to the frame of a car door or put themselves in front of a moving vehicle and then expect that they can use lethal force because they placed themselves in this situation and it created this escalation instead of de-escalation. And that is what I see here.
What would have been the appropriate response in this situation? She started saying, that she rebukes Satan or the devil, and it seems like she's still there with the pot. What would you have liked to have seen the officers do?
So if I see that she's picked up a boiling pot of water, I might just say, Miss Massey, and talk to her gently, please put that down. She looked as though she was trying to comply with whatever it was the deputy was saying, but maybe she became confused. And those, I'm going to jump a little bit forward about training. Are we training our law enforcement to recognize humanity when they respond to calls for service? Everybody is not out to kill the police. Everyone is not out to attack the police. Sometimes people are going through something. They don't deserve to die because they cannot make a split-second decision, which is what law enforcement asks the citizenry of this country to do. Allow for us to make a split-second decision.
The Massey family attorney Ben Crump told ABC News that the 36-year-old struggled with mental health. And far too often we see these types of encounters turn violent or deadly when mental health is at play, particularly for people of color. What do you think the solution is with that?
That's a great question. So, Black people are killed by police at twice the rate of white people, doing the most mundane of things, watching television, playing, in the case of Tatiana Jefferson in Texas, playing with her nephew and thinking there's a prowler outside and picking up her gun because she wants to protect her family. It just seems that more and more, or at least we're noticing it more and more, Black people are not allowed that grace. And law enforcement has not been batting an eyelid, which is concerning to me, okay? So what we need is a commitment from law enforcement. We need to focus on some other things like training on equity, what service actually means, and what humanity looks like. That is the training that will save lives, and I think that the public is asking for that.
Sonya Pruitt, we thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Democratic Senator Bob Menendez will resign from office effective August 20th following a conviction in his federal corruption trial. The New Jersey senator was last convicted on bribery, extortion, and abusing his office to benefit foreign countries last week. He does plan to appeal. Menendez is set to be sentenced in late October and faces decades in prison. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy will select an interim replacement. Tonight, the chaos for Delta passengers is now in its 5th day of delays and cancellations after that global internet outage. The airline is now under federal investigation. Gio Benitez reports.
Tonight, Delta Airlines now under federal investigation as frustrated passengers face hundreds of flight disruptions for a 5th straight day following that global internet outage.
It's exhausting.
Tonight, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg making clear that Delta must take care of its passengers.
We're not taking this step lightly, but clearly there is something unique to Delta that requires specific attention.
Thousands of travelers stranded from San Francisco.
We might be on a 3 o'clock flight or we might be on a flight in 2 days, so don't really know.
To Atlanta.
There's bags everywhere, and there's still families just laying on the ground since Friday.
To Minneapolis, where Sarah Schaefer has been stuck for days, missing her cousin's 50th birthday celebration in Tampa.
It broke our hearts. I mean, we both cried. If it cancels today, I'm done.
The travel chaos causing luggage to pile up on carousels and in baggage claims. Airports across the country were brought to a standstill late last week after that CrowdStrike software update rendered many computers useless. Other airlines have since recovered, but Delta Airlines still struggling as its IT teams manually repair and reboot each of the affected systems. Tonight, Delta saying it is fully cooperating with the investigation and working tirelessly to care for and make it right for customers impacted. And Linsey, tonight, Secretary Buttigieg also saying that the DOT has received more than 3,000 complaints about Delta. Delta's CEO saying that it'll take a few days to fix all of the issues. Linsey?
Gio, thank you. Next tonight, the flash flood threat across the eastern half of the country from Texas to D.C. with rain all the way up to New England. The West, meanwhile, is struggling with excessive heat and wildfires. Our chief meteorologist, Ginger Z, is tracking it all. Hey, Ginger.
Hey, parts of Washington, D.C., the mid-Atlantic into Virginia there are in a flash drought. So while they could use it, it could fall too quickly. That's why they've got the flood watch. Go to Houston, though, Linsey, and we've got a problem. They've had more than 15 inches above normal rainfall already this year. There are flash flood warnings surrounding it to the north there. They've had 2 to 4 inches. They could easily see locally 5+ because that front is stationary, meaning it doesn't move much. You're going to have that elevated risk all the way through southeast Texas, southwestern Louisiana, Montgomery, Alabama, Atlanta, South and North Carolina, as well as Virginia Beach. So we're keeping that at play all the way through tomorrow night. Then we've got to talk about the air quality. It has not been good. Super hazy, if not downright bad air quality from Denver up through the Rockies, Cascades too. And then we've got a lot of excessive heat warnings and heat advisories still on the map. Spokane, Washington smashed their record already with 18 days in a row at 90+. The old one was 15. And look at Billings. That's where this thing's going to expand. They could see records the next 2 days. Linz?
All right, Ginger Z for us. Our thanks to you, Ginger. Still much more to get to here on Prime. Dramatic video of terrified tourists running after a geyser exploded at Yellowstone National Park. But next, a closer look at Kamala Harris, what the presumptive Democratic nominee might have working for her and possibly against her.
Whenever news breaks,
we are here in Israel, a nation at war after that brutal surprise attack by Hamas.
On the ground in Ukraine, reporting from Lewiston, Maine.
The scene of a horrific mass shooting.
ABC News Live is right there everywhere.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike in Dnipro, Ukraine.
Reporting from the earthquake in Turkey.
In rolling forward, this tornado tore through this little town.
From the most devastating disaster in Hawaii.
From Charleston, South Carolina, on the 2024 campaign trail.
In Iceland, let's go.
Traveling with the president in Mexico City.
Wherever the story.
From the front lines,
from southern Israel. Outside the Gaza Strip.
In Beirut. From the FBI.
Reporting from the nurses on the picket line.
Here at 10 Downing Street in London.
Streaming live to you.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is. We're going to take you there.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live. Streaming free everywhere. America's #1 streaming news.
First thing in the morning.
There's a lot going on.
We're still in a flash flood warning.
To catch you up with what happened overnight. Police in riot gear arresting dozens of protesters.
What's happening today? Escalating tensions in the Middle East.
What people are talking about. The migrant crisis.
Fast, straightforward.
With some fun in between.
Check out the Gator on the 17th hole.
The buzzkill in baseball.
First thing in the morning.
America This Morning.
America's #1 early morning news.
On ABC News Live.
Tomorrow on ABC News Live, President Biden for the first time addresses the nation after ending his bid for re-election and endorsing Kamala Harris. David Muir reporting. President Biden, the decision, streaming tomorrow night on ABC News Live.
When you hear that bell, you know GMA's surprising someone somewhere with real unclaimed money they never knew was there.
This really is a big check.
And this Friday morning, we're at it again.
Thank you. Did it. Show me the money.
On Good Morning America.
All right, let the dogs out, please.
I don't think he's going to give you a hard time.
Even if he gives me a hard time, I'm the right guy.
You can handle it.
I want to make sure that we all learn together.
Calm, confident.
Calm, confident, calm, surrender.
Everything that he's taught has become a reality.
Yeah.
We are so grateful and impressed.
I feel like crying.
You changed our world.
It is a beautiful thing to see. As you rehabilitate the dog, you also rehabilitate you.
Susan Powell was a young, beautiful mother. She just one night vanished.
Where is Susan?
July 29th, making sure that if something happens to me, our assets are documented.
Josh, did you kill your wife? I'll never forget the first time that I met him. A chill just raced up through my spine. I just shook the hand of a killer.
Now, stunning details.
He ends up revealing the biggest bombshell.
What will happen next? 2020, Friday at 9/8 Central on ABC.
I think because of the enthusiasm around Kamala Harris, I think that we're going to see Virginia going back to being blue and very solidly blue.
Now, my daughter was very excited, the fact that she could be the first Black American woman as president. But when we started talking about the issues, there's certain things we cannot compromise on, and border security is one, crime is another.
Welcome back, everyone, to ABC News Live Prime. Even with President Biden stepping aside and Kamala Harris now the presumptive nominee for the Democrats, voters like those you just heard from will have a lot of information to digest about the new candidates. Vice President Harris, as we covered earlier, wasted no time at all hitting the campaign trail today in the battleground state of Wisconsin. With the Democratic convention less than a month away, Harris's vetting process for selecting a running mate must happen on an extremely truncated schedule. For more on that, let's turn to 538 Politics podcast host Galen Druk. And Galen, speaking generally, what does Harris have going for her and what's working against her?
I would say the number one thing she has going for her is that age is no longer an issue facing Democrats in this race. Up until now, talking to voters and looking at polls, the biggest vulnerability for Biden was that he was viewed as too old and incompetent. And then the biggest vulnerability for Trump was that he was viewed as corrupt and dangerous. That still holds for Trump, but things have been fully turned upside down for Democrats. When you look at some of the recent polling coming out that shows Harris picking up ground compared with Biden, what you see is that she's picking up support amongst natural Democratic voters, so younger folks, voters of color, women, folks that we would have expected to go strongly for Democrats, but seem to have their enthusiasm depressed a bit by the race matchup that they were looking at. And so I think that's where she is gaining ground. When it comes to some of her challenges, Democrats are still viewed less favorably on the key issues that Americans say are facing the country. And that includes the economy and cost of living, immigration, and then also some issues surrounding crime and safety. And so Harris is part of the current Democratic government, and voters will maybe judge her based on Biden's record as well. How she presents herself on those issues as she reintroduces herself to the country is going to be key in terms of whether she can frustrate some of the negative perceptions that American voters have had about Biden on those issues.
And Vice President Harris, of course, has to hit the ground running, especially in the 6 or so swing states. Is there a world where such a tight schedule actually helps her?
Well, look, I think it really depends on how this all plays out. But one thing it has certainly done, it has basically forced Republicans who will have done years of research, opposition research on Biden, to throw out those books and start over again. And so what we're seeing starting on Sunday, essentially, was new attack lines forming. What kind of campaign is Trump going to run now that his opponent is 20 years younger than him? as opposed to several years older. And so on that dimension, maybe Harris has a bit of an advantage over Biden.
And we know that it could take maybe a couple of weeks for Harris to choose a running mate. Historically, do candidates see a bump in polls after making their VP pick?
Historically, yes, but that's also because it comes around the same time as the party convention. And typically we see about a 2-point convention bounce for the parties because those conventions in large part act as big commercials during primetime news. But when it comes to the specific question of does a VP choice, a good VP choice, help you, the most important thing that a VP choice proves to voters is how good of a decision maker you are. And ultimately, voters will shape their opinions of you as a presidential nominee based on how they think about the person you chose as a running mate. So, for example, if Harris picks somebody that folks think is qualified or maybe moderate or maybe closer to their views on the issues, that will impact their views of Harris, and that will make them see her as that will make them approve of her as the nominee to a greater extent. The sort of prime example of the reverse happening and doing some harm to the ticket was John McCain in 2008 picking governor of Alaska Sarah Palin because voters didn't think that was a good choice. It actually impacted McCain's approval rating, and voters saw him as doing a worse job.
And the results of a new Reuters Ipsos poll of registered voters was just released a few hours ago. What did you learn from that?
Oh boy, yeah, new polls coming out. So first and foremost, take it, put it in the average, wait a couple weeks before we maybe come to any strong conclusions. But what I can say is that there was an Ipsos Reuters poll out a couple weeks ago. And so I like to compare like to like. Because we have something to compare it against, maybe we can learn something about the trend line. And what we see is that 2 weeks ago in the Reuters Ipsos poll, Harris versus Trump was an even match. Today, in this new poll, what we see is that when it's Harris versus Trump, no one else on the ballot, Harris leads by 2. And when you include RFK Jr. and other candidates on the ballot, Harris leads by 4. So what we can at least say, even if other polls are going to come out that show Harris trailing, and in fact, the average of polls today does show Harris trailing, what we can see from that poll is it looks like, based on the news cycle between Sunday and now, that there's an upward trend for Vice President Harris.
538's Galen Druk, we thank you so much as always.
Thank you.
Joining us now for a deeper dive on the possible machinations going on within the Harris campaign is Democratic strategist Michael Trujillo, who was also Hillary Clinton's senior aide during her 2008 campaign. Michael, thank you so much for coming on the show. You certainly had no shortage of gender bias back in 2008 when Hillary Clinton was running. How are things the same 16 years later for Kamala Harris, and how are they different?
Well, I think in 2008, we got a guy with the middle name Hussein elected president in terms of President Obama. 2016, Hillary Clinton beat Donald Trump by over 2 million votes nationally. So when it comes to Kamala Harris, I think we have the virtues of President Obama and the determination of Hillary Clinton combined. And so I think Kamala Harris is going to prove her mettle in these upcoming days and weeks and show the American people who she is and where she wants to take the country.
How much of a factor do you see Gen Z voters playing in a prospective Harris-Trump matchup?
Have you been on TikTok lately? I mean, if you had asked me what a coconut tree was on Saturday, I would have had no idea what you meant other than something in Hawaii. I mean, Gen Z is coming to play. They're coming in hard. The number of impressions that the Kamala Harris campaign has gotten from TikTok, from Elon Musk's owned Twitter, is historical, monumental. It's the reason why you've seen these past 2 days of historic number of donations going into the Harris campaign, by no part because of Gen Z. It is incredible.
And we know the Harris campaign started the vetting process for potential VP picks: Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, and so on. Are you surprised that, at least for now, we're only hearing the names of men?
No, I think, in terms of having a balanced ticket, this is not a shock. Hillary Clinton chose Senator Kaine from Virginia in 2016. Joe Biden chose Kamala Harris in 2020. I think having a balanced ticket is the smart thing to do. But this law firm, our old Attorney General Eric Holder, is going to have a tough time, and it's going to be a very short time to have to do the proper vetting necessary for all of the folks that Kamala Harris and her team are considering.
And putting on your strategist hat for a moment, how important is it for a VP pick to hail from a swing state?
It's not critical, but it's nice. And the fact that we are considering Governor Cooper from North Carolina, Governor Shapiro from Pennsylvania, Senator Kelly from Arizona. I mean, not only do they bring a critical state that we put in the Democratic column in terms of the Electoral College, but they're actually all amazing individuals on their own right and have something amazing to offer to the ticket if we're able, if they say yes and Kamala agrees to take them on. And honestly, I think that's what the Trump campaign is most worried about. The fact that we get to have a reset button and really pick a leader from a state that can put Electoral College points in our column that they weren't expecting.
We should know in a short amount of time. Democratic strategist Michael Trujillo, we thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Still much more to get to tonight. Coming up, Celine Dion spotted in Paris. Is the pop legend making a comeback in a big way at the Summer Games? But next, the jaw-dropping fundraising numbers we're seeing after Kamala Harris announced her run for the White House. More than half are first-time donors.
If you were coming of age in the 1980s, the Brat Pack was near the center of your cultural awareness. But for those of us experiencing it from the inside, the Brat Pack was something very different. On June 10th, 1985, New York Magazine published Hollywood's Brat Pack. I just remember seeing that cover and thinking, oh. From then on, my career and the career of everyone who was involved was branded to the Brat Pack.
I'm really sorry that article had to come out.
I've never talked to anybody about what that was like. So I thought it might be interesting to try and contact everyone who was in the Brat Pack. Hey, Emilio Estevez. This is Andrew McCarthy calling you. Hey, Allie. Hey, Demi. Hey, Molly. Let's call Rob. Hello? Judd? Me? You around? You were not interested in talking about the Brat Pack for years.
I turned everything down.
How come you're talking to me?
Because you called me. It was time that we clear the air on a couple things.
I love your stuff, Bob. Hey, thank you. I hated the Brat Pack for decades. What a disaster. If you could have the Brat Pack name not exist, would you?
It really irritated me. They said, what's more important to you, the movie or your life? And I said,
the movie.
Andrew.
Have you talked to the others? The others, like, again, it feels like a cult or something.
Yeah. Why did we take it as an offense?
Well,
as opposed to like
the brat.
Because we were young.
We were afraid we were brats, you know.
Are you in the Brat Pack?
I'm Brat Pack adjacent.
That's what I was saying.
I am not in the Brat Pack.
Don't you? Crush on you back in the day?
You did not, Andrew. No, you did not.
Being in the Brat Pack not only changed all of our lives, it changed what entertainment is. I mean, I'm not going to say we were the Beatles or anything.
Well, we didn't fill Shea Stadium. There were moments.
We could have. 1985, I think we could have.
So what are you filming?
Oh, we're just doing this documentary.
What's it about?
Ancient history.
Will you call my name?
More Americans choose ABC News, America's #1 news source. Why do so many people start their day here?
From ABC News, this is Start Here.
To be in the know and get a different take on the day's top stories.
A lot of news today, so let's get into it.
Listen now to the Daily News Podcast honored with 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards and see why the New York Times calls it a news podcast worth listening to. Start Here, ABC News. Make it your daily first listen.
Now, that's a part of the story I bet you didn't see coming.
Wherever you get your podcasts, Start Here. Tomorrow on ABC News Live, President Biden for the first time addresses the nation after ending his bid for re-election and endorsing Kamala Harris. David Muir reporting. President Biden, the decision, streaming tomorrow night on ABC News Live.
Hey, good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
You don't just see it, you feel it.
I'm in. I'm in.
I'm in too.
I am in.
I'm in.
I'm in too.
I'll be here.
Reporting from the Normandy coast for the 80th anniversary of D-Day, I'm David Muir. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back, everyone. In a presidential election, of course, money talks. And while last week we were talking about President Trump's fundraising boost after the attempt on his life, a whole lot has changed. Let's see where things stand on the Democratic side by the numbers. In a little more than 24 hours, Kamala Harris's political operation raised $100 million, and 62% of those contributions were from first-time donors. That's according to her campaign. Plus, the campaign says a whopping 58,000 people have signed up to volunteer for the campaign, which they say is 100 times the average daily sign-up rate. And more good news for Harris. The Biden campaign already had a $96 million war chest, and Harris has immediate access to those funds. Plus, funds from the DNC bring the total to $237 million on hand based on early July numbers. So for comparison purposes, the Trump campaign and Republican Party combined had $285 million on hand entering July. Another fun fact, the pro-Trump super PAC spent $30 million just on ads specifically attacking Joe Biden in this election cycle. And then, of course, Biden dropped out. The Trump campaign has actually placed TV ads very sparingly since the primary, though the Trump super PAC MAGA has already pivoted to ads attacking Kamala Harris. And we still have much more ahead here on Prime tonight. We talk with the mayor of Milwaukee, a city that's had a whole lot going on in the past week, and the landmark legislation that could change what your kids see online.
Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed.
Here in London, in Buffalo, Uvalde, Texas, Edinburgh, Scotland, from Poland once again tonight. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Ukrainian refugees here in Warsaw.
Do you think you'll ever be able to go back home? We're heading to a small community outside of Mexico City.
Splintered houses and splintered lives, and the magnitude of the devastation. You're streaming ABC News Live. Reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi.
Santa Fe, New Mexico. Raleigh, North Carolina.
The U.S. Capitol.
Mayfield, Kentucky. Minneapolis.
Mexico. Tongass National Forest, Alaska.
Getting you behind the stories as they happen. Giving you a front row seat to our world as it plays out in real time, live.
ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights, America's most honored streaming news program, only on ABC News Live. Streaming free right now wherever you stream your news.
First thing in the morning.
There's a lot going on.
We're still in a flash flood warning. To catch you up with what happened overnight. Police in riot gear arresting dozens of protesters.
What's happening today? Escalating tensions in the Middle East.
What people are talking about. The migrant crisis.
Fast, straightforward.
With some fun in between.
Check out the Gator on the 17th hole.
The buzzkill in baseball.
First thing in the morning.
America This Morning.
America's #1 early morning news.
On ABC News Live.
Whenever news breaks.
We are here in Israel, a nation at war.
In Rolling Fork, this tornado tore through this town.
From Lewiston, Maine.
The scene of a horrific mass shooting. From the scene of that deadly missile strike.
ABC News Live everywhere.
In Iceland, let's go.
On the 2024 campaign trail.
Here at 10 Downing Street.
Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live, streaming free everywhere.
There is a price to be paid every time a survivor shares their story. I will not be silenced.
Do you feel the church accepted abuse?
I wouldn't say accepted it as so much pretended it didn't exist.
Yep, that's him.
Yep.
Ready? Kira Phillips with ABC News. Does your church protect sexual predators?
The powerful new Impact by Nightline. Secrets of the 2x2 Church.
There's nothing pretty about hearing this.
Now streaming on Hulu.
Tomorrow on ABC News Live, President Biden for the first time addresses the nation after ending his bid for re-election and endorsing Kamala Harris. David Muir reporting. President Biden, the decision, streaming tomorrow night on ABC News Live. GMA tomorrow morning.
You gotta see this.
Rob Lowe and his son John Owen Lowe live. Then Thursday morning.
Oh, God.
Kevin Hart live on
Good Morning, America!
When it matters most, America turns to David Muir and ABC's World News Tonight.
A trial date is set for Trump ally Steve Bannon, accused of defrauding donors over building a wall, protecting kids online, and sweeping new regulation we could soon see. And Celine Dion poised to make a comeback in Paris. These stories and more in tonight's Rundown.
While Steve Bannon serves his 4-month prison sentence for contempt of Congress, the former Trump advisor will now stand trial again. Beginning December 9th, Bannon will face charges he defrauded donors online when he claimed to be fundraising to build a wall at the southern border. Instead, prosecutors claim Bannon conned those donors by helping funnel over $100,000 of the $25 million raised to the co-founder as a secret salary. Bannon has pleaded not guilty, and he has asked the judge to dismiss the case. The Senate is expected to take up landmark legislation this week to protect children from dangerous online content. It's one step closer to what could become the first sweeping new regulation of the tech industry in decades. The bills would require social media companies to take measures to prevent and mitigate harm to anyone under the age of 17. They would also give parents more control over how their children use these platforms. The bills are expected to pass in the Senate before the August recess, but their fate in the House remains unclear. An Iowa judge has ruled the state's strict abortion law will go into effect on Monday. That means most abortions will be banned after about 6 weeks of pregnancy. After the law was passed last year, a judge blocked it, but the Iowa Supreme Court found there's no constitutional right to an abortion in the state, a state which used to allow abortion at up to 20 weeks of pregnancy. Now, Iowa joins more than a dozen states with sharp restrictions to abortion access ever since Roe was overturned, a hallmark issue for Democrats in the upcoming election. Dramatic new video shows terrified tourists running after a geyser exploded at Yellowstone National Park today. It happened in the Biscuit Basin thermal area about 2 miles northwest of Old Faithful. Luckily, no one was injured, according to park officials. Park geologists are investigating. A dramatic hydrothermal explosion like this one happens when water suddenly flashes to steam underground. Celine Dion is reportedly planning to make her musical comeback at the Paris Olympics. She was spotted in Paris today meeting fans. That comes after Variety reports she could take the stage during Friday's opening ceremony. It would be her first appearance since revealing her battle with stiff person syndrome in December of 2022. An honor for the late Alex Trebek. The longtime Jeopardy host is now being featured on a new Forever stamp. The stamps are available in sets of 20, resembling a Jeopardy board with a clue about Trebek on them. Current host Ken Jennings says Trebek was a, quote, American institution, so it makes perfect sense to honor him on a postage stamp.
It has been an eventful last week or so for our next guest, from his city playing host to the Republican National Convention to the vice president and holding her first campaign event there today. We are joined now by Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson. Mayor, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Nice to see you.
So how was the event today? Did you get a chance to speak to the vice president before or after her speech?
Oh, I did get the chance to speak to the vice president. I met her on the tarmac with my wife and my 2 young daughters, my twins, Madison and Bella. I got to see her as she was exiting the stage 2. It was electric in there. Like, this was on a whole other level. And people in Milwaukee, people in Wisconsin are excited for Kamala Harris's candidacy.
We were there in Milwaukee last week and saw a good number of black men take the stage at the RNC ahead of President Biden's decision to step aside. There was actually some concern that the black voters, black men in particular, might gravitate toward Republicans or sit the election out altogether. Do you think that that has changed in the last 48 hours?
Oh, absolutely. Just the other night, I joined a phone call with over 20,000, I believe nearly 30 or 40,000 black men, all gearing up to support the vice president. We raised collectively over $1 million, $1.3 million, I believe. And as a matter of fact, I've been talking with black voters on the ground here in Milwaukee, and folks are not voting for Donald Trump. When they learn what is going on with Project 2025, they think about their wives, they think about their daughters, they think about how this negatively would impact the African-American community, and they're not about it. And now that they see they get the chance to elect a black woman to be president of the United States, black voters are really, really excited about the prospect of doing that.
And we've, of course, seen an unprecedented amount of enthusiasm in terms of donations for Vice President Harris. You were on that Zoom call last night for black men. Just talk about the energy that you've seen for yourself on that call and otherwise.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, black men are stepping up. Even here with the event that took place here in Milwaukee today, I met so many young people here in our community who are 18 years old, 19 years old, going to be voting for the first time. And they are really, really excited about having the chance to cast their first ballot ever for Kamala Harris. And we believe that if we work really hard, if we get the people that we know, our friends and our family, to vote, then Kamala will be elected the 47th president of the United States. And I'm really, really excited about it. I know my wife and my 2 daughters are really, really excited about it, too.
Black voters are often viewed as the backbone of the Democratic Party. In your view, what does having Vice President Harris at the top of the ticket mean? Not only, you mentioned you have 2 young daughters, but for you, your family and beyond.
Oh, it means a lot. I mean, this presents an opportunity for folks who are old enough to vote, like I was in 2008. My first presidential election for Barack Obama, the first person of color, the first black man to be the president of the United States. Now, to go a couple of presidential elections later and have a woman of color, a black woman, to be able to be elected president of the United States, it just shows the possibilities in this country. And there's no other place in this world where the possibilities of America shine through like we're seeing with what I believe will be a successful campaign and a successful election for Kamala Harris to be the president of the United States. It just speaks to the power of this country and the fact that the American dream is alive and well here in the United States. I'm really, really excited about it.
Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson, we thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Coming up in the next hour, as all eyes zero in on Kamala Harris in the race for the White House, President Biden gets ready to address the nation as to why he dropped out and how he plans to close out his term. Plus, the federal investigation now underway into Delta amid the worldwide chaos that's disrupted travel for thousands of passengers.
Why do so many people start their day here?
From ABC News, this is Start Here.
To be in the know and get a different take on the day's top stories.
A lot of news today, so let's get into it.
Listen now to the Daily News Podcast honored with 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards and see why the New York Times calls it a news podcast worth listening to. Start Here, ABC News. Make it your daily first listen.
Now, that's a part of the story I bet you didn't see coming.
Wherever you get your podcasts, Start Here.
Here's to good mornings in America.
Can you feel the love?
Oh, yeah. Mornings that inspire, filled with hope, kindness, joyous surprises, and so much fun.
This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy.
Start your day with Good Morning America's ray of sunshine, highlighting the best of America and helping
make dreams come true.
Wow.
I'm just so happy. It is so good.
Get ready to smile and put the good into your morning, America, because
You know what will make the morning better? A little ray of sunshine.
Whenever news breaks,
We are here in Israel, a nation at war.
In Rolling Fork, this tornado tore through this town.
From Lewiston, Maine.
The scene of a horrific mass shooting.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike.
ABC News Live everywhere.
In Iceland, let's go.
On the 2024 campaign trail.
Here at 10 Downing Street.
Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live, streaming free everywhere. What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
An operation to capture ISIS fighters.
Is this our Combat Operations Center?
We're approaching the gate now. Militants came in from 4 or 5 different directions.
Operational nuclear reactor.
So you have a couple loaded and ready to go. The house is destroyed, but the flag, there's not a tear in it.
Not a tear in it.
How important is this label right here, Made in the USA? Look at your smile. You're proud of this.
I love this.
Great work.
Hi.
Where are you? Where are you?
Appreciate you.
Thank you, David.
Good to meet you.
Ismail? David.
David.
Yes, yes. I'm David Muir.
I know who you are.
You
I watch
do?
you every night.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed. Here in London, in Buffalo, Uvalde, Texas, Edinburgh, Scotland. Reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi. Ukrainian refugees here in Warsaw. We're heading to a small community outside of Mexico City. Getting you behind the stories as they happen. ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights wherever you stream your news. Only on ABC News Live.
Reporting from Monterey Park, California, I'm Robin Roberts. Wherever the story is, we're going to take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Good evening, everyone. This is ABC News Live Prime. I'm Linsey Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We have a lot of news to get to this evening, including the first battleground state visit of Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential campaign as she makes her case for the Democratic nomination, plus the new body camera footage. We're just getting in tonight of the moments when police and Secret Service approached the deceased Trump rally shooter, and the 160 wildfires currently burning throughout Canada and the thousands now under evacuation orders. But we begin with Vice President Harris taking center stage as the new face in the race for the White House. The VP is now the presumptive Democratic nominee for president after securing enough delegates less than 48 hours after President Biden announced he would step aside. The vice president held her first campaign event in Wisconsin today, not far from where Donald Trump accepted the Republican nomination just 5 days ago, telling the crowd of thousands that as a former attorney general, she's ready to prosecute the case against Donald Trump. Tonight, many are already speculating about who she will choose to be her running mate, keenly looking at those key battleground states. ABC's chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce leads us off from Milwaukee.
With her party firmly united behind her, tonight Kamala Harris hitting the campaign trail for the first time as the presumptive Democratic nominee, heading straight for battleground Wisconsin. Greeting her, a crowd of thousands, bigger than any President Biden has had during this campaign.
Do we want to live in a country of freedom, compassion, and rule of law? Or a country of chaos, fear, and hate?
Harris reminding voters that as the former Attorney General of California, she's uniquely qualified to prosecute the case against Donald Trump.
I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
For months, Harris has been hammering Trump on abortion. The former president has bragged about appointing 3 of the justices who overturned Roe v. Wade.
We who believe in reproductive freedom will stop Donald Trump's extreme abortion bans because we trust women to make decisions about their own body and not have their government tell them what to do.
But Harris also leaning into the kitchen table issues on the minds of so many voters.
Building up the middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. Because here's the thing we all here, Wisconsin, know. When our middle class is strong, America is strong.
Trump has been off the trail since Saturday. On a call with reporters this afternoon, he went on the attack.
She's the same as Biden, but much more radical.
But he did say he's willing to debate her.
I think debating's important for a presidential race. I really do. I think that you have to you sort of have an obligation to debate. If you're the candidate of the Republican Party.
And Harris says bring it on.
In this campaign, I promise you, I will proudly put my record against his any day of the week.
The vice president exuding a lot of confidence there. Mary Bruce joins us now from Milwaukee. Mary, that new Reuters Ipsos poll is out, taken after President Biden dropped out of the race. It shows Vice President Kamala Harris leading Donald Trump by 2 points among registered voters nationally, 44% to 42%. But Mary, we know it'll likely all come down to a handful of battleground states. And you and the team have been reporting out who the top contenders are. Where does the search for running mates stand tonight?
Well, Lindsay, tonight sources tell us that the vetting process is now already underway. We are told that 4 people at least are on that list right now. They are Josh Shapiro, the popular governor of must-win Pennsylvania, Governor Roy Cooper of North Carolina, elected twice in a state that the campaign we know has been eyeing and investing in heavily, Senator Mark Kelly of the critical state of Arizona. He's the only senator on the list, a former astronaut. He's married to former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, and Andy Beshear, the popular moderate governor in the traditional red state of Kentucky. Now, Lindsay, other names could certainly be added to that list, but tonight a source telling us that as of now, Shapiro and Kelly are the leading candidates, Lindsay.
Just a short amount of time to make that selection. Mary Bruce, our thanks to you as always. Now to President Biden, set to address the nation from the Oval Office tomorrow night. The president is now back at the White House for the first time since ending his bid for a second term while recovering from COVID at his home in Delaware. Tomorrow, the president is expected to lay out how he will finish the job. ABC's senior White House correspondent Selena Wang reports in from the White House tonight.
Tonight, President Biden back at the White House in public for the first time since making the historic decision to end his re-election campaign.
Why did you drop out of the election?
As he left Delaware, where he was isolating with COVID for more than 5 days, the president telling reporters he's feeling well.
Mr. President, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? How are you feeling?
Before walking up the stairs of Air Force One, saluting. Biden's doctor saying today he's tested negative for COVID and no longer has symptoms. The president now preparing to speak to the nation from the Oval Office tomorrow night, saying he will address what lies ahead and how I will finish the job for the American people. Biden making clear he has more work to do, saying that though the Democratic ticket has changed, his mission has not.
I've got 6 months left in my presidency. I'm determined to get as much done as I possibly can, both foreign policy and domestic policy.
The president saying he's on the verge of ending the war in Gaza and bringing the hostages home, meeting with the Israeli prime minister and families of hostages tomorrow. A source telling me part of Biden finishing the job for the American people is making sure his vice president Kamala Harris succeeds him in the Oval Office.
I'm going to be working like hell, both as a sitting president, getting legislation passed, as well as in campaigning.
President Biden committed to staying on the campaign trail on Harris's behalf now. Selena Wang joins us now from the White House. Selena, what's the latest you're learning about the president's speech?
Well, Lindsay, this speech is going to be about his decision to drop out of this race and why he did that, as well as his plans for the rest of his term. A source close to the president tells me that he's been working on this speech for the past day and huddling with his speechwriting team this afternoon at the White House. I'm told that this speech is going to be emotional and coming from the president's heart. Lindsay?
All right, Selena Wang for us. Thanks so much. And make sure to tune in tomorrow night for our special report when the president speaks live to the nation at 8 p.m. Eastern right here on ABC News Live. Tonight, we're getting new images of the moment Secret Service and local police approached the deceased Trump rally shooter. And we should warn you, the images are graphic. You can see there in a moment, as soon as we have the video right there, authorities gathered on the roof of that nearby building in Butler, Pennsylvania. The shooter's legs and weapon visible at the bottom of the screen as blood cascades down the roof. The footage published online by Senator Chuck Grassley as he demands more answers from the Secret Service. And it comes as we're learning from sources that the Secret Service is now recommending the Trump campaign team cease holding outdoor rallies entirely. All of that just hours after the resignation of Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle, just one day after she was grilled on Capitol Hill about the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. Cheadle called it the agency's most significant operational failure in decades. Here's ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas with more on the director's resignation.
Tonight, new body camera video showing the first moments on that roof after a sniper killed the gunman who opened fire on a Trump rally.
We have one shooter deceased. I think we have 3 victims.
Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley posting the 3-minute video on his X account. It shows an assault rifle near the body of the shooter and a trail of blood streaming down that sloped roof. And tonight, sources telling ABC News the Secret Service has recommended that Donald Trump's campaign stop holding outdoor rallies following the assassination attempt in Pennsylvania. It comes just 24 hours after that blistering hearing.
You're full of today.
And bipartisan calls for the resignation of Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle.
Not only should you resign, if you refuse to do so, President Biden needs to fire you.
Tonight, Cheadle stepping down, taking responsibility for the security failures that led to the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. In an email to staff, Cheadle saying, "I do not want my calls for resignation to be a distraction from the great work each and every one of you do towards our vital mission. In light of recent events, it is with a heavy heart that I've made the difficult decision to step down as your director." Reaction swift.
Secret Service Director Cheadle clearly made the right decision.
Were there any warning signs?
And new tonight, the shooter's father speaking out for the first time since the attack, telling Fox News Digital,
Release a statement when our legal counsel advises us to do so. Until then, we have no comment. We just want to try to take care of ourselves right now. So please, give us our space.
Pierre Thomas joins us now. Pierre, President Biden released a statement. What did that say?
In a statement today, Biden thanked Cheadle for her decades of service, Lindsey, but he added, and I quote, "What happened that day can never happen again."
Pierre Thomas for us. Thanks so much, Pierre. Democratic Senator Bob Menendez will resign from office effective August 20th following a conviction in his federal corruption trial. The New Jersey senator was convicted last week of bribery, extortion, and abusing his office to benefit foreign countries. He does plan to appeal. Menendez is set to be sentenced in late October and faces decades in prison. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy will select an interim replacement. Tonight, the chaos for Delta passengers is in its 5th day of delays and cancellations after that global internet outage. The airline is now under federal investigation. Gio Benitez reports.
Tonight, Delta Airlines now under federal investigation as frustrated passengers face hundreds of flight disruptions for a 5th straight day following that global internet outage.
It's exhausting.
Tonight, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg making clear that Delta must take care of its passengers.
We're not taking this step lightly, but clearly there is something unique to Delta that requires specific attention.
Thousands of travelers stranded from San Francisco.
We might be on a 3 o'clock flight or we might be on a flight in 2 days, so don't really know.
To Atlanta.
There's bags everywhere, and there's still families just laying on the ground since Friday.
To Minneapolis, where Sarah Schaefer has been stuck for days, missing her cousin's 50th birthday celebration in Tampa.
It broke our hearts. I mean, we both cried. If it cancels today, I'm done.
The travel chaos causing luggage to pile up on carousels and in baggage claims. Airports across the country were brought to a standstill late last week after that CrowdStrike software update rendered many computers useless. Other airlines have since recovered, but Delta Airlines still struggling as its IT teams manually repair and reboot each of the affected systems. Tonight, Delta saying it is fully cooperating with the investigation and working tirelessly to care for and make it right for customers impacted. And Lindsey, tonight, Secretary Buttigieg also saying that the DOT has received more than 3,000 complaints about Delta. Delta CEO saying that it'll take a few days to fix all of the issues. Lindsey?
All right, Gio, thank you. Still much more to get to. Coming up, we take you behind the scenes of high-stakes hostage negotiations as we sit down with the man who helped play a pivotal role in bringing home WNBA star Brittany Griner. But next, the frantic search for the missing after not one but 2 landslides buried people alive.
Whenever news breaks,
we are here in Israel, a nation at war after that brutal surprise attack by Hamas.
On the ground in Ukraine, reporting from Lewiston, Maine.
The scene of a horrific mass shooting.
ABC News Live is right there everywhere.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike in Dnipro, Ukraine.
Reporting from the earthquake in Turkey. In rolling forward, this tornado tore through this little town.
From the most devastating disaster in Hawaii.
From Charleston, South Carolina, on the 2024 campaign trail.
In Iceland. Let's go.
Traveling
traveling with the president in Mexico City.
Wherever the story.
From the front lines, from southern Israel,
Outside the Gaza Strip.
in Beirut.
From the FBI.
Reporting from the nurses on the picket line.
Here at 10 Downing Street in London.
Streaming live to you.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is. Wherever the story is. We're going to take you there.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live, streaming free everywhere. America's #1 streaming news.
There is a price to be paid every time a survivor shares their story. I will not be silenced.
Do you feel the church accepted abuse?
I wouldn't say accepted it as so much pretended it didn't exist.
Yep, that's him.
Yep.
Ready? Kira Phillips with ABC News. Does your church protect sexual predators?
The powerful new Impact by Nightline. Secrets of the 2x2 Church.
There's nothing pretty about hearing this.
Now streaming on Hulu.
Tomorrow on ABC News Live, President Biden for the first time addresses the nation after ending his bid for re-election and endorsing Kamala Harris. David Muir reporting. President Biden, the decision, streaming tomorrow night on ABC News Live. GMA tomorrow morning.
You gotta see this.
Wake up with Rob Lowe and his son John Owen Lowe live.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool.
Then Thursday morning, can you handle this?
Oh, God.
Oh, Kevin Hart live on
Good morning, America!
I'm Mola Leggy in Tehran. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back, everyone. We're tracking several headlines around the world, beginning with 2 landslides in southern Ethiopia that have killed at least 229 people. Search and rescue efforts remain underway after days of heavy rain. A landslide buried people alive on Sunday night, and then a second slide engulfed more people who had gathered to help. Footage shows rescuers trying to dig victims out with shovels and their bare hands. 73 people have been killed, 24 of them children, in an Israeli operation in Khan Yunis, according to the Hamas-run Gaza Ministry of Health. The ongoing attacks quickly overwhelmed Gaza's Nasser hospital. Israel bombarded Khan Yunis, including areas previously designated as humanitarian safety zones, saying they were rooting out terrorist operatives and infrastructure. About 400,000 people live in the targeted areas, and Palestinian officials say they were not given enough time to leave. More than 7,500 people are under an evacuation order in Alberta, Canada, where more than 160 wildfires are currently burning. Thousands of evacuees were forced from Jasper National Park and down smoke-choked mountain roads in search of safety. With so many fires burning out of control, strike teams are having to prioritize those threatening cities like Jasper and critical infrastructure. Our next guest is shedding light on what goes on behind the scenes of high-stakes hostage negotiations. Mickey Bergman is a former IDF combat officer, and for the past decade, he's traveled the world as a private citizen, working to free Americans held unjustly overseas. He played a key role in securing the release of Brittany Griner in 2022. Mickey is co-author of the new book titled In the Shadows, True Stories of High-Stakes Negotiations to Free Americans Captured Abroad. Mickey Bergman, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So we're going to get to the book in just a moment, but first, just let's talk about believed to be about 100 hostages still being held. What would you be angling for at this point?
Well, first of all, I am a part of the negotiations, again, on behalf of some of the families, not in any formal position, because we don't work for governments, we work on behalf of families. The theory of return, which is the story, the script that we tell ourselves, the shortest way of a hostage coming home, in the case of Gaza, relies on 3 basic assumptions. The first one, the Israelis and Hamas, they don't talk directly. It has to be mediated. Number 2, there are 4 countries in the region that can influence Hamas. Iran, Turkey, Qatar, and Egypt can influence them. None of these countries want to have to do any favors to Israel. But at least 2 of them, which is Egypt and Qatar, have a very significant interest in working with the United States. Therefore, the theory of return has always been for us since October 7th.
In your book, you detail how Brittany Griner's family reached out to you while she was being detained in Russia. Just walk us through that process. How first people know you're the guy, right, to reach out to, and then what happens after you hang up from those calls?
Yeah, so again, we're a non-for-profit, we're a non-government organization. We work on behalf of families at no cost to them. We don't advertise. It is still very, very tough because as a family, in Brittany's family, overnight suddenly was thrown into an international crisis, and a lot of people come to them with a lot of information, everybody with the best intentions, but very few people with experience of actually getting people home. And so I've engaged with Brittany's wife, Sherelle, and her agent, Linsey, for quite a while, for about 2 months before they actually formally asked us to come and help. Once they did, we again had to create the theory of return for us, that story, that script of how she comes home, and engage informally with our Russian counterparts, the same counterparts that just in April, before Brittany came home, helped us deliver Trevor Reed, the deal for Trevor Reed.
But as a non-government official, and you're sitting across from a strong-willed foreign leader, they might say, hey, why am I talking to you?
Well, that, Linsey, is exactly what I was writing, the reason why I wrote my book, because our ability, we don't have any authority and any mandate on policy issues. But we have emotional intelligence, we have ongoing relationships. These are relationships that we invest in over time before there's crisis. We do engagement in a lot of these countries, specifically the countries that the United States has problems with communicating diplomatic relationships. We build that trust, we build those relationships, so then when we actually have a crisis, we're able to sit honestly.
How did you get into this?
I met Governor Richardson of New Mexico after he was ambassador to the UN and Secretary of Energy and a member of Congress. He called me on a Wednesday. He heard about me as he was going to Sudan back in the days that there was the Darfur genocide. And he called me on the phone. He says, is this Mickey Bergman? I said, yes. Like, this is Governor Bill Richardson of New Mexico. I need you to pack your stuff and get to Santa Fe. You're coming with me to Khartoum. And Linsey, not only did I not know Governor Richardson at the time, I didn't know the man existed. And I had 48 hours to decide whether it's an opportunity of a lifetime or the worst decision I make before my head gets separated from my body.
Last question. I could keep talking to you for hours, but there are so many that we've talked to on the show with regard to their relatives, Paul Whelan, for example, Evan Gershkovich. Do you have any sense that there's something that can be done to bring them home and soon?
Yeah, I think, and we chatted about it before, my work is one that is very exciting when people come home, and it's extremely difficult and frustrating every single day until they come home, and sometimes it takes years. And Paul Whelan's a failure of mine, because he was left behind in my count 4 times, and we tried really, really hard, and we continue to try. But I am optimistic. I think there's an assumption right now that even though we know more or less what Putin wants in return for the Americans that he's holding, and he's holding quite a few of them.
I said that was the last question, but I just have to follow up. So are you suggesting, hypothetically, that if Donald Trump were president right now, some of these people would be home?
I'm suggesting, Donald Trump, I think, said himself that he believes that he can get them home at no cost. My argument was, well, if he can do that at no cost, why not do it now? It will help him in the elections. I don't think that there is any added advantage to whether it's Trump or President Biden currently, or presumably Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee. It's just a matter of it needs to happen after the elections, because otherwise it plays in the domestic. So I don't think it's a matter of Trump is going to be better than Harris or something like that. But now that President Biden is not running, he's not a candidate, I actually argue that the window opened right now to do this work, and I'll do everything I can to try and bring them home.
Mickey Bergman, we thank you so much for your time and the work that you do.
Thank you.
His book, In the Shadows, is now available wherever books are sold. And still to come, the incredibly moving moment that just might bring any parent to tears.
There was a specific moment during our wedding. I looked at Jason and I realized this was real. This was our family.
This is her knight in shining armor.
Everything felt right. All of a sudden, I found this hidden folder. I opened it, and I don't think I can say it. I'm sorry.
She put her hand to her mouth and, like, gasped.
Jason would kill me before he would let me tell anyone this part of him. He's in so much freaking trouble.
I remember just feeling like, what the hell? That was my dad. What is going on?
That's when that fire inside of me shifted to like a flame. I was like, it's on.
Betrayal is one of the hardest types of trauma to overcome.
He didn't think I had it in me to do something. So I did.
Betrayal, a father's secret. The all-new season, only on Hulu.
Let's go.
The ship is incredible. It feels like living in a science fiction movie.
We just saw what no one has seen before.
Wow, look at that.
Oh my gosh.
Well, dead ahead. Tag on!
We are heading into the unknown.
Hammer, hammer, hammer. It doesn't get any more cutting edge than this.
Susan Powell was a young, beautiful mother. She just one night vanished.
Where is Susan?
July 29th, making sure that if something happens to me, our assets are documented.
Josh, did you kill your wife? And I'll never forget the first time that I met him. A chill just raced up through my spine. I just shook the hand of a killer.
Now, stunning details.
He ends up revealing the biggest bombshell.
What will happen next? 2020, Friday at 9/8 Central on ABC.
Finally tonight, 5-year-old Zoe Expert spent her entire life without saying a single word until recently. Tonight, David Muir shares the remarkable new moments captured on her mother's cell phone.
Tonight, the incredibly moving moment caught on a mother's cell phone. She will forever cherish it. 5-year-old Zoe Expert asked to borrow her mother's cell phone, telling her mom, Delphine, she wanted to look for treasures and video them. Zoe has autism and has been nonverbal up until a few months ago. Her mother has noticed that letting her daughter explore, dance, play music, ski, it's all started to help her talk. Her daughter communicates in other ways, Mom says, including lots of hugs. But still, Mom Delphine has never heard her daughter say, I love you. So Mom was astonished when she saw what her daughter had recorded. Just listen.
This is a pine cone. This is the dandelion. This is the another dandelion. This is the grass. This is the sky. This is the clouds. This is my car. This is my house. And there is my beautiful mom. She's the best mom. I love her so much. And she's the best mom in the whole world.
Zoe's mother hearing her daughter say, I love you for the first time. Tonight telling us, with the help of a simple camera, words came out more easily when she was alone and having fun. And she managed to express in her own way all of the love that she has for me in her heart, but would never be able to tell this to me directly.
I love her so much.
Tonight, one mom hoping the message for her from her own daughter will help so many other families too.
So touching. Our thanks to David for sharing that story. That is our show for tonight. I'm Linsey Davis. ABC News Live is here for you all night with the latest news, context, and analysis. You can always find us on Hulu, Roku, Pluto TV, the ABC News app, and of course on abcnews.com. The news never stops. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Have a great night.
Whenever news breaks.
We are here in Israel, a nation at war.
In Rolling Fork, this tornado tore through this town.
From Lewiston, Maine.
The scene of a horrific mass shooting.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike.
ABC News Live everywhere.
In Iceland, let's go.
On the 2024 campaign trail.
Here at 10 Downing Street.
Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live, streaming free everywhere. Why do so many people start their day here?
From ABC News, this is Start